Lesson 39. Meet Connie Booth. Listen.
Where were you born and brought up?
Well, I was born in Indianapolis, but I lived there for 4 years, and then my family moved. My father was a stockbroker, and he went on to the New York Stock Exchange, so we went to New York. And then I went to school in Pennsylvania.
Were you brought up in a large family?
No. I have an older brother, but there were no cousins. And I had one grandmother who was alive when I was born, who died when I was about 6. So, in fact, it was quite a small family, really.
Was it during your childhood that you first decided you wanted to be an actress?
Yes, when I was about 13. It was the only thing I wanted to do. And my mother was eager for me to go to college, but I just wanted to go to New York and start working. So I went to New York, and I got into a place called the Rehearsal Club, which was a marvelous setup for young girls coming to New York. It was $25 a week. You shared a room, and then you got 2 meals a day. And the house was very well looked after. And everybody was dancers or singers or actresses.
Which was the play which really started your career?
Oh, my gosh. Fawlty Towers, about 20 years later.
Out of the film directors you've worked with, who's taught you the most?
Jack Gold, without question. A marvelous director. He was just wonderful to work with.
And is there any actor whose work you particularly admire?
Oh, gosh. Oh, there are too many to name, I think. John. I think John's brilliant. I think he's a superb actor. I mean, aside from being very funny, I think he's the best.
What was the opportunity that made your career?
Well, I suppose working with John on Fawlty Towers. Suddenly, because I was seen on television, that seemed to offer up opportunities. I think I've been incredibly lucky.
Did you think making a successful career in acting is largely a matter of luck?
I think luck does have a great deal to do with it, and as someone once said, being ready when you get the luck. It does have a lot to do with who you know and being at the right place at the right time.
Listen and repeat.
I was born and brought up on the West Coast. I have an older brother and a younger sister. During my childhood, we lived in the country, not far from the sea.
My parents came from an ordinary background, a working-class background, a middle-class background. My mother was an actress. My father was a painter, a poet, a novelist. They wanted me to be a singer, a musician, an actor.
My first job was in a theatre which was near my home. The person who helped me most was my agent. The writer whose work I admired most was George Bernard Shaw.
I think I've been very lucky. Very fortunate indeed. I thought I'd missed my opportunity. But then I was offered a second chance. A lucky break. Fortunately, everything turned out well.
Pronunciation.
Listen to the way these speakers use question tags. They aren't really expecting a long, detailed answer.
We've been having awful weather, haven't we?
Yes, haven't we?
You enjoy your job, don't you?
Yes, I do, actually.
You always wanted to act, didn't you?
I did.
It wasn't easy at the beginning, was it?
No.
But everything turned out well, didn't it?
Yes, luckily it did.
Listen to them again and repeat.
We've been having awful weather, haven't we?
You enjoy your job, don't you? You always wanted to act, didn't you?
It wasn't easy at the beginning, was it?
But everything turned out well, didn't it?
Now listen to the second type of intonation. This time we won't give you the listener's answers, because they would probably be too long, as these speakers are in fact asking real questions.
You were born in New York, weren't you? But you weren't brought up there, were you?
You have an older sister, haven't you?
You're not thinking of changing jobs, are you? You don't really mean that, do you?
And now repeat.
You were born in New York, weren't you? But you weren't brought up there, were you?
You have an older sister, haven't you?
You're not thinking of changing jobs, are you? You don't really mean that, do you?
Right, that's all for now. It wasn't difficult, was it?
Practice 1. Listen and write.
Listen to the biographical information about Sonia Franks that Fran has recorded.
Sonia Franks was born and brought up in the north of England. She comes from a musical background. One of her sisters is a singer, and her younger brother plays the guitar in a dance band. During her school years, Sonia learned to play the piano and the guitar, but her main interest is singing. After leaving school, Sonia joined a group called the Rockies, who played dance music in local clubs. Her big opportunity came in June 1982, when she met Gene Guthrie at a pop concert. He offered her the chance to make a recording with him. It was a great success, and since then, Sonia Franks has become well known with songs like Lucky Me and Sunshine.
Practice 2. Listen and speak.
Answer questions about Sonia Franks. First, listen to the example.
Where was Sonia Franks born and brought up?
She was born and brought up in the north of England.
What kind of background does she come from?
She comes from a musical background. Now you answer the questions.
When did Sonia learn to play the piano?
She learned to play the piano during her school years.
What is her main interest?
Her main interest is singing.
When did her big opportunity come?
Her big opportunity came in June 1982. Now tell us about yourself. Where were you born and brought up?
What kind of background do you come from? What is your main interest?
And if you haven't had your lucky break yet, I hope it's just round the corner.
Practice 4. Listen and speak.
Answer these questions about some famous Americans. But first, listen to the example.
Who was Scott Fitzgerald?
He was an American novelist who was very popular in the 1920s.
He wrote The Great Gatsby, didn't he?
That's right. It was The Great Gatsby that made him famous.
Now you answer the questions. Who is Brooke Shields?
She's an American actress who began her career as a child star.
She had a big part in Pretty Baby, didn't she?
That's right. It was Pretty Baby that made her famous.
Who was George Gershwin?
He was an American composer who wrote hundreds of popular songs.
He wrote Rhapsody in Blue, didn't he?
That's right. It was Rhapsody in Blue that made him famous.
Who's Stanley Kubrick?
He's an American film director who has made some very powerful, very different films.
He made 2001, didn't he?
That's right. It was 2001 that made him famous.
I don't agree. He was already famous when he made that film. What about Spartacus?
Well, maybe you're right, but I think it was 2001 that made him really famous.
Oh, come on. That's a very subjective thing to say.
What do you mean?
No,